Hey everybody, welcome to Empower Multimedia. This is your host Carl. This video is going to be talking about how to get a job. So to kind of give you a little bit of background about myself, in the past I've worked in a healthcare recruiting company where I had to get a lot of people jobs. And now currently I am an entrepreneur. I actually run my own social media marketing agency called Fall Spike. If you want to know more, link in the description. So I actually have experience on both ends of the spectrum, hiring people for a position, as well as applying for jobs and trying to get job offers in the past. And in my past experience, I've been able to get about 95% of the jobs I've always wanted. And in my time in the healthcare recruiting, I've gotten it down to a formula where if they do these 5 simple steps, they'll always get a job. So like I was saying before, I've gotten it down to a simple science in order for you to almost get any job that you'd like. So with that being said, let's begin. Step number 1, you must have supreme confidence. When you walk in and make your first impression, make sure it's known in a positive way. You want to look the part and act the part. And by looking the part, you need to give the employer as little reason as possible to tell you no. So what I mean by that, tattoos. If you have a lot, cover as many as possible. Depending on the industry, they're going to be a lot more strict than others about tattoos. Same goes for piercings. If you have a lot of piercings, especially in the facial area, take as many out as possible. To be conservative, just have one on each ear. And that can help you be conservative in your interview. Other than that, stick to neutral colors, black, blue, navy. And be very confident in when you're walking in. If you want to walk with a little swag, that's going to help you as well. So once you have supreme confidence, you look the part, you act the part, you're already getting off to the right foot. So with that being said, step number 2. Now this part is, it's kind of hard to teach. It's kind of more so like if you have it naturally, but we can give you as many tips as we can. So the second part is building rapport. So building rapport is very key in an interview process. The more it feels like a conversation and less like a transaction, the better position you're going to be in. Now, what's key about building rapport is, this is why it's so important. Let's say the employer has 2 candidates, right, that they're battling for. They like both. They're both equally qualified, and they both did a lot of the right things. The difference maker between the person that the employer is going to choose is going to be who built the best rapport. Remember that. Rapport is very important. Now, step number 3. This and the step number 4 may be the 2 most important parts to the entire interview process. So step number 3, you need to ask basically what they're looking for. The employer is always going to ask you something along the lines of, why exactly did you apply for this job? Why do you think you'd be the best person for the job? Anything along those lines. What you need to do is literally ask them something along the lines like this. Hey, I noticed you're looking for IT tech. And I was just curious, what exactly is the ideal candidate for this position? What exactly you're looking for? So something along those lines that I just said, that's simple and to the point, will do you wonders. Let me explain. This is a business, right? Anything you're going into is a business. So the only reason they're hiring is because they have a need for something. What you need to do is figure out what the need is. What I figured out is, and I used to do that in the past, is a lot of candidates that apply for jobs and go on interviews, they kind of wing it. And by winging it, I mean they kind of just say a lot of things that sound good, I'm nice, I'm caring, I'm a hard worker, I want to grow up the company, and that all sounds good. And when you make things sound good, it's kind of like a fluff in terms for the employer, because you're kind of guessing what they want. Now, my tactic is, if you be direct and ask them what they want, you can take out all the fluff and you can kind of dissect their problem. Now, with that being said, this is the time to take advantage of that opportunity, which leads me to step number 4. Step number 4, you need to make yourself seem like the solution. So what do I mean by that? Let's say hypothetically, they said I'm kind of just looking for someone that is, hardworking, wants to grow with a company, and is most importantly bilingual, that speaks Spanish, right? So they told you exactly what they wanted. A lot of people might say a few things that they want, but they're not hitting upon the most important factor, which to this particular employer, it was being bilingual. Please do not lie to the employer, because it's going to make you look bad in the end. But if you can find some truth to what they're looking for, make yourself seem like the solution. So for me, hypothetically, I would say, let's say they want someone that's hardworking and wants to grow up the company and is bilingual, right? So I would say something along the lines of, this is like a dream come true. It looks like not only am I an extremely hardworking individual, in the past I've been working multiple jobs, working 50 to 60 hour weeks, as well as being a full-time student. I don't like to hop around places. Once I graduate, I do want to be with a company for a long time and grow with them, and make them a better version of themselves and help the team grow. But most importantly, I know you mentioned you wanted someone that is bilingual. It's quite funny because I'm actually trilingual. I'm fluent in English, Spanish, and French. So I think that, along with everything else I mentioned, would make me feel like a great candidate for this position. I made myself seem like the solution to the employer. Now, if you do that, the employer is going to be like, oh man, we got a winner, right? So that's kind of what I mean. You're taking the guessing game out of it, and you're finding out what they want, and you got to make yourself the solution, right? So like I mentioned before, don't lie to them. But once you do that, you're about 85 to 90% there, right? By there, I mean like 90%, like you're about to get the job offer. Now, what's the last and final step? Step number 5. So step 5 includes basically asking a very important question at the end. It's going to get to the point where the employer is going to ask you, do you have any other questions about anything, right? Now, if you have any other questions, generally, you should definitely ask them. But one question you need to ask the employer is there any reason whatsoever I wouldn't be a good fit for the job, right? So there's multiple reasons why I asked that. The first one is, A, it shows that you care about the position, and 2, it gives you the chance to overcome the objection, kind of like sales, right? You'll be able to overcome the objection. Now, the mistake that a lot of people do is when they do an interview, they're kind of like guessing again in terms of they think the interview went well, but they just kind of let it be, and then they hope for the best. Now, what you need to understand is employers, if they have an objection about something, they're still going to have the objection whether you ask the question or not, in terms of making their decision on who to hire next. So you asking that question gives you the chance to save yourself. Here's one little tip. This is not really a step, but this is kind of like icing on the cake per se. After you finish the interview, ask the employer for their business card and send them a thank you email to follow up with them, like maybe a day after, or actually maybe a couple hours after, while it's still fresh, right? And just say, thank you so much for your time. I really love the atmosphere of the company, and I really would love to be a part of this company. Hoping to hear from you soon, right? Something nice, sweet, and simple. So, if you follow these 5 steps, you're almost guaranteed to get an opportunity. And the good thing is you might be in a position like I was in and other people might be in, where when you get a lot of different opportunities, you can actually kind of leverage yourself and get a better deal, ask for more money, and so who really wants you the most, right? So with that being said, be confident and go out and find your dream job. Now, the next step of this video, I'm going to show you kind of like the statistics. This is kind of like the statistics that I've done. So this is more so about the amount of interviews that occurred, rather not, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I've worked with a lot of different people, right? So as you can see, in an amount of interviews taken, there's 116, broken up into several different columns. The first 3 were me, and then the last one was during my health care recruiting opportunity, right? So you're going to see the amount of interviews and then the ones I got a job offer, right? So what you're going to see in the next step in the data is who used all the 5 steps, like what interviews applied all the 5 steps. And the first part, 46 didn't use the 5 steps, right? with that being said, so 46 didn't use the right steps. 17 of them got the job offer. Now, what does that mean? That means basically 46 of them kind of just like guessed and winged it, and 17 of them got lucky. Now, 70 of them used the 5 steps and implemented the 5 steps. And look at that. 70 of them all got a job offer, right? Now, you got to understand that these are not like 70 different people. This could have been like 3 people. This could have been like 20 people doing 3 different jobs. But it's about the principle of applying it to an interview, right? So with that being said, also, it's kind of important to go over the difficulties in this data. Majority of it was entry-level positions. And by entry-level, I mean they're paying you anywhere from like $30,000 to maybe around $60,000, $65,000 tops. The higher range was more so for the sales roles that were base plus commission. The base in Florida was around like 40. And you get some commission off that. So, and the 65 is kind of like their average for first year. And he had some intermediate positions and then some high level positions that were also accounted for. So as you can see, even for me, like the first 3, the only opportunity I did not get is when I did not apply these 5 steps, right? And that was my fault, but I didn't apply them. I missed that opportunity. But the rest, I hit the nail on them. And then same goes for during the healthcare recruiting. If they listened to me, it went well. If they didn't, and they kind of did their own thing, it might have went well, but more times than not, it went bad, right? So with that being said, this is kind of like the data for this. It's just kind of showing the numbers to it, some experience with it, having the mindset of being on the both ends of the spectrums. I can almost guarantee you that if you follow these 5 steps, you'll be in the right spot at the end of the day. Thank you so much for your time watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it. And stay tuned for our next video. Thank you.